This is the comedy podcast where we talk about history and our girls.
And today, and all of the days from here on in, we are covering the 6 wives of Henry VIII. Today, we're going in on Anne Boleyn, who, piece of work, let me tell you.
I'm excited to learn.
Yeah, me too, honestly. It feels like I'm like, it's like I've taken in so much information about like Henry and Anne Boleyn specifically, but I still feel like I'm barely scratching the surface of what actually went on.
I know.
Like, I do feel like the British monarchs, you could truly just go in for hours and hours on any small subject if you really have the devotion and the time.
They're crazy people, and their lives are so like documented, dude. Like,
This is what's crazy.
And they don't have to like just go to the fucking field every day and dig. Like, they're the only people in the past with any free time to act foolish.
It's true. It's true. And they're always like, oh, it was like a royal charter. And then the royal charter was just like, everyone needs to be nicer to the king. It's just crazy. Like,
Okay. Dream.
The royal decree of no one can be mean to me anymore.
Be
Honestly,
fucking nice to
same.
me. I would do
that.
too.
I would do that too.
King Charles should consider
putting out a decree that everyone needs to be my friend.
Yeah. You should try it.
I was thinking this. I'm trying to be less of a hater recently.
Yeah. Well, because King Charles has some good points.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to just like, when something starts to annoy me, like remove myself from the situation as opposed to just
That's
like
good.
kind of hang out there until it bothers me and I lose my mind.
That's fair. I think that's a
Yeah.
fair, like, I think that's a noble pursuit to
It's
be
a noble
less of
pursuit.
a hater. I feel that a bit too. I feel like I always kind of like Icarus it,
Yeah.
where I am a hater to my core, like, and I think that's fair. I think the reason I'm a hater is because the environment I grew up in was very non-hater. So to me, sometimes I equivocate. Is that the right word? Like not
Equivocate.
being a hater to just lying. Like the kind of people that are
Yes.
just like, everything's fine and we shouldn't say a negative thing. And I'm like, well, sometimes you need to complain. Like, I love to complain.
I hate when people are just like, I never complain. I'm like, well, maybe you should, because otherwise I feel
should.
crazy that I have complaints.
Yeah, like you just need to
Duh.
like air all your emotions, babe. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that's just what needs
Air
to be
it out.
happening.
Let it breathe.
Exactly. Let it breathe.
Let
it's literally like a
it
cut.
breathe.
Like, I'm not saying you need to like keep it open so it festers, but you can't cover it all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is literally it. But I think that sometimes I get Icarus and I'm like, I'm just being way too negative towards people and not giving them grace. And I don't mean people in my life. I mean like celebrities and shit mainly. Like,
You need
I
to give
just
Sabrina
go,
Carpenter more grace.
yeah, I mean, love her. I give her as much grace as she needs. But there are
Did you
people
say-
where I'm, you know.
You're a little bit too mean.
Yeah, and then I'm like, I don't mean, and I'm not like doing anything about it, but I'm just like,
No.
everybody's trying their hardest.
Yeah.
Like,
We should be
I
nicer
also-
to Donald Trump. He's trying
we
his hardest.
should. We don't know if he has a migraine today,
He could have a really sore head.
and that's just hard. But it is that
Yeah.
like sucky truth that people are fighting battles you don't know anything about,
Which is so annoying.
Like-
People should tell me about their battles and I'll judge
and
them
then I'll be
accordingly.
nice. If you tell me about your battles, I'll be fucking nice to you.
I know. It's like whenever your friend is like, hey, yeah, a few months ago I was going through a really hard time and I just didn't tell you about it. I'm like,
So are we friends?
pardon me?
Because it
So
feels like
you
you need to keep me in the loop.
Yeah, so you hate me? You want me dead? You want me to not know anything? Like,
So
ugh,
that's violence.
that's violence. Silence is violence, basically.
There's a fruit
was-
fly in my room.
Oh,
Continue.
disgusting.
Mine was a
There's-
nothing sentence.
There's moths in my house, and it's, oh my God, I
Oh.
want to die. It's horrible.
It is
I
bug
can't-
season because it's getting a bit colder here, so they're coming inside, and like nothing but love to them.
They gotta
but it
stay
is just
outside.
like it's a reality.
No, it's just, I don't like bugs. I think they should stay outside.
I sent you that picture of that mouse we caught in our humane mouse trap.
Oh my God, it's so cute.
He was so cute. We famously name all the mice. We usually will in our house get like one mouse at a time, basically.
Yeah,
which is really lucky.
just a guest. A guest.
Yeah, just a quick, truly, because I think we have cats upstairs and cats downstairs, so I think that they just kind of like stroll in and get kind of
Yeah.
lost. Like they'll come in, but there's not
Yeah.
we're not an infestation, which is nice.
No,
But I'm kind of
they
scared
don't want
of
to stick
mice.
around.
No, so we name them.
Mhm.
So before we had Teresa Jean, she ate
Beautiful
paint
name.
and died. May she rest.
No.
But what was his? Oh, Douglas J. Menzies
That's
is this
good.
mice. He came into
Oh,
the
that's
humane
good.
trap, which I literally didn't think that the humane traps worked. We just like set one because we're like, okay,
Sure.
let's try.
Yeah.
And it worked.
That's amazing.
I know. It was a real
you
beautiful moment of human animal like partnership. Like we just released him. We didn't kill him.
Yeah, I caught a mouse once just in a plastic container and put it out onto the porch.
Yeah.
And he was fine. He just ran away. I hope he's okay. I think mice are so damn cute. It's horrible.
They are really cute.
I
They're
love
gerbil
a rodent.
adjacent.
They are gerbil adjacent. I love a rodent. I love guinea pigs.
Mm-hmm.
I could really, oh my God. I just love a little creature.
I could
What can I say?
really see you
With guinea
with
pigs?
like 7 guinea pigs.
I know, but you know what? I had a hamster.
This outfit, even you're wearing now, is kind of like serving guinea pig woman.
Guinea pig woman.
Like if you
Thank
just
Thank
lived in
you.
Kingston, Ontario for the rest of your life,
Yeah, and I
you'd
just
be like
bought a
the
bunch of
theater
guinea pigs
professor, but you
with
have
a bunch of
you
guinea
just
pigs.
yeah.
I had a hamster as a kid though, and I feel like every kid that has a hamster just like dies in the most traumatic
Mhm.
way possible. My hamster bit me and then died in my hands, and then I had to go and lead a brownie session as a girl guy volunteer, just crying
It died from
hysterically.
biting you?
I think it just like bit me as it was dying because she was like stressed
Oh,
out.
yeah.
She was like, "I'm dying."
Lashing out. Yeah, fair,
Yeah.
fair.
And then I had to put on my girl guide uniform with like my little sash and my little hat and go and lead
Adorable.
like brownies and crafts while just crying.
That's so
I should have
sad.
stayed home. I don't know why my mom let me go.
I know. That's not you should have
It's a
stayed
really
home.
hard
That's not
day.
good.
Yeah,
My
it was
sister's
rough.
hamster had a habit of opening the cage. But
Too
so
smart.
one night, yeah, it opened the cage and then my cat just like literally played with it to death over the course of the entire night. Like I had a friend sleeping over and she was like, I think your cat has something. And I was like, it's just the toy. Like she plays with like squeaking toys. Cause they do. Cats have like those little mice that squeak.
Yeah,
And I was like gaslighting this friend, being like, that's just how
it's just the toy.
she is. Also, like in hindsight, if I had a friend sleeping over and my cat was playing with a squeaking toy all night, I'd be like, girl, I'm taking the toy away. Like we're going to bed.
Yeah, you're just being a bad
Wasn't
friend.
a
Like,
concern of
well,
mine
deal
at the
with
time.
it. Deal
Yeah.
with it.
And then in the morning, we went down to breakfast after I'd gaslit my friend. And my sister was like, my hamster is missing. And I was like, oh no.
Oh, no.
The hamster is killed for sure.
The hamster died, got eaten by the
So
cat.
Jessica, if you're listening, sorry girl. Did not mean to gaslight you.
That's so
I love finding
funny.
out random people in our lives are listeners of the pod because I truly speak on this podcast as if no one's gonna listen to it.
Oh, yeah, same.
And that's my life. Like, so the other day, my sister was like, oh my God, like this person that we both know is a Girl Historians listener. And this is a person who's like associated with her music, like the university musical theater department. And I was like, I've for sure just like talked about my sister's production of Catch Me If You Can. Like, and what did I say? Was I mean? Like,
I
I
have
don't
no idea.
remember. It
I
did
have
not
no idea.
occur to me. Truly did not occur to me.
Not that anyone would listen to it.
No.
Yeah,
We
it's-
got recognized by a listener when we were like literally crouched outside of Value Village earlier this
we
week.
were sitting on the literal street and some lovely, lovely woman goes by and just goes, by the way, I love your podcast. And we're like,
Yeah,
"Thank
like
you
we're
so
crouched
much."
over because we went to the Valley Village and then like the air was too stale and it like kicked my ass and I went to Blair. I was like, I gotta go outside.
Yeah. Well, Value Village they opened a Value Village with an evil energy recently, is what we learned.
Crazy
Is
energy.
they closed a Value Village. Value Village, if you don't know, is like the big box like Savers thrift store in
Yeah,
Canada.
it's like a thrift store. It's like Salvation Army or something.
Yeah, but like humongous, like Walmart
Massive.
size kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so like they closed one that was kind of like the iconic one that everyone went to.
I
They closed
loved
it for
Is it
condos.
closed for real
yeah,
now?
it's done. They're building
I
condos. They're-
loved that one.
That's why they opened this
I
new
think it's
one
also gonna
with
be a
evil
ghost
energy.
station.
Really?
That's what Reese was telling me, like a ghost station in condos. But that's a whack place to put a ghost station.
I know. I hope the train goes through the building like those trains in China.
Oh,
Have you seen those pictures?
Fast. It's the Pikachu train. I hope
Pikachu train.
that station is the Pikachu train.
I hope so. I would love if a train just ran through my house.
Yeah,
Or
I
next
think you
to
would.
My house. I
You
would.
love construction.
I love
So you would love
construction.
if a train went through your house.
I would love if a train went through my house. Yeah, they're proposing building condos across the street from my house, which is like
Horrible.
the almost worse than getting condos, like getting kicked out for a condo to be built. Because obviously that's worse. You lose your home, but they have to give you a bunch of money and they have to give you a new place to live. Whereas like condos across the street from your house just means there's going to be like 2 to 4
Construction
years
for
of
7 years,
construction
yeah.
forever. There's going to be dust. It's going to be dirty. It blocks the sunlight. And then there's like a bajillion new people in your neighborhood who are like rich yuppies who are just going to destroy the local economy.
This
So
is the
pray for
thing.
me, listeners. Pray for me.
Like, again, nothing but love and light. And if I ever do meet Margaret Atwood, I will deny that I know this or have said this in a public forum. But she quite famously was like, you cannot put an apartment building at the end of my street. There are beautiful trees here. And like, listen, that's wrong. But condos are ugly. Like,
Yeah,
they
they're
are
horrible.
ugly. And again, like, they're just like why can we not just build like 3-story apartment buildings?
Because
Why does it
there's
have to be-
laws. There's literal laws like in Toronto that are against kind of like low-rise buildings like that. It's
Horrible.
so stupid. It was
That's
this like
so
whole thing
horrible.
that Toronto put in where we can only build single-family homes for whatever reason. And so like that's why there's like
Iconic.
no low-rise buildings. Like it's so stupid, which is what we need.
Mhm.
And then it's like these condos, people are like, oh, we need affordable housing. They're not affordable housing. They're investment properties. It's so stupid.
This is the thing. I would love condos if they in any way actually provided the market with cheap housing.
No,
But they don't. They're more expensive than a regular place. Like a condo
They
is more
are-
expensive than where you live and where
Yeah.
I live.
Yeah. They are money laundering things for the mafia. This is my truth. This is my
No,
conspiracy
Blair,
theory.
if you say this, the mafia is going to take you out, and I'm going to have to find a new
take it.
podcast host.
The mafia
No,
tailed
I
my
don't
mother.
want
The
that.
mafia will tail me. It's just part of the family curse. So it's fine.
Wait,
The
wait,
mafia
wait,
wants to
wait.
come after
No,
me?
no. We're not blasting past the fact that the mafia tailed your mother.
Yeah, well, she didn't owe them money. Her boyfriend did, but they tailed her for like 5 years. So you want to tell me mafia? Sure. Whatever.
This is my thing of like, I feel like I care about the people in my life being alive and happy way more than the people in my life care about themselves actually being alive or happy.
I'm saying the mafia is building condos. That's all I'm saying. This is my
Yeah.
everyone's allowed one conspiracy theory, I think.
Yeah, and I like conspiracy theories like that. Every single conspiracy theory now is a right-wing like dog whistle.
Yeah.
Why can't
No.
we just have fun ones?
Yeah, or just truth. The mafia
But you know what I mean? Like that one is like, I mean, I kind of don't believe that the moon landing happened until I realized that is also anti-Semitic. Like,
Is it?
yes, every
Man.
conspiracy theory is anti-Semitic if you look
Damn.
far enough back. It's kind of crazy, and
That's
I'm
too bad.
dodging the anti-Semitic allegations online always now.
Yeah, I don't think
I
you're
love
anti-Semitic.
Hamas. I love Hezbollah. Hezbollah. Those are my girls. Every fucking time I post a YouTube video, somebody's like, the money from this is going to Hamas. And I'm like, no.
What does that
No.
mean? What does that mean?
I think I would be arrested. I think I would be arrested if I just donated money there.
Yeah, I don't think there's even like an avenue for you to do that.
No.
Like,
I
you
feel like
s-
if I Googled that, you know, when you like Google stuff just to like find out, like the other day, and I shouldn't have done this, but I Googled like, what does it sound like if somebody gets shot?
oh my god.
And the internet was like, no,
No.
not
Don't
showing you
know.
that.
No. I feel like it'd be like a thud.
Yeah, but I was curious.
Mhm.
But we'll never know.
Because Google said, weirdo.
Google said absolutely not.
Google said, absolutely not, you freak.
Oh, I have to tell you a story.
Oh,
This
yeah,
is the
you have a
I've been-
story. What's your
You
story?
probably know a little bit about this because I post about it on Letterboxd. But I reviewed Matt and Mara, the Canadian film, on my Letterboxd.
Yes.
And the director posted my review to his Twitter. And it was a positive review. Like, okay, so this is the thing. The review, Matt and Mara loved this movie. Let's say
Yeah.
that. And I also want to say, don't love the viewers, love the listeners. Don't make this a thing. Like, please do not go and attack him or anything. I can't take the heat.
Yeah.
I can't. But I posted a review, 4 out of 5 stars. Loved the film. Thought it was a
Yeah.
great film. Set in Toronto. Had some beautiful. Our friend Mikey was in it. Our friend
Yeah.
Robin was in it. Marlo
Beautiful.
Granados was in it. Loved it. And I was like, oh my god, like movies set in Toronto like melt my brain. At one point, the characters get on a base station, and then over the intercom it goes, next stop Christie Station. Okay? And I like do hold near and dear to my heart. I feel like this did happen. But the
Yeah.
director posted this on Twitter being like, I would never respond to a Letterboxd review, but, and I'm like, so you are responding to a Letterboxd review.
Oh my God. What did he say?
Like, we filmed it, I guess they filmed it live, so it was like, they are at Bathurst Station. I want to be like, well, like, not to dox myself, but like, I feel like, and I guess I'm wrong, but in my brain, they were getting on at a green station, and Bathurst is famously blue. The tiles are blue, so I'm confused, but whatever, okay?
I could not tell you the freaking the colors of the tiles.
And you know what? I must be wrong, but I gave it 4 stars. It's a good review. Like, and also it's in my private letterbox, babe. Like, I'm vibing. Like, I'm in my own world. Like, I'm on Letterboxd just reviewing movies.
Your private letterbox with 10,000 followers.
Yeah, but not my fault that I'm funny and people follow me on that.
Fuck yeah, dude.
So then a bunch of people from film Twitter were like in my replies being like, take this down. It's harmful to the art. Which, first of all, it's not harmful to the art. Chill out. People being like, shut the fuck up. You sound so fucking stupid right now. Are you deleting comments? You sound like, and I'm like, no, you're inciting violence. Like,
oh my God.
Like, so I just edited the review. And I was like, what's happened?
That's
he did like
crazy.
Crop my name out, but people just went anyway. I don't think it was intentional. I think it's just like creating art makes everyone kind of low-key insane. Like, I think a lot of people would be, if they were like an author, be in the Goodreads reviews and want to respond, and you kind of like, it's annoying to be a public figure.
Yeah.
Again, I was like annoyed that I'm like, because I'm a YouTuber, I can't just like clap back at all these trolls and be like, you're fucking ugly. Shut up. Because I can't do that. That can't be my jam.
And you just can't do that.
Yeah. So I don't think he like assumed that posting that would just like send random trolls to me to attack me. But I'm like, babe, director's behaving badly.
No, that's
But
bananas.
it really stressed me out because Toronto is so small. I was like, well,
they're gonna find
changed
you.
my letterbox so it's not like Carley Thorne anymore. It's
oh
not
my
full
God.
name.
Oh God.
Because it stressed me out too much. I know.
No, that's too stressful. People love to attack on the internet. That's a truth.
Well, it's one thing too. I was like, like, I'm just joking. Like, I'm having a laugh. Like, I gave it 4 stars. I liked the movie. Do you know what I mean? It's one thing to be attacked for like a negative review.
Yeah.
But on my letterbox, I just like rate it whatever I think and then say a little thing. You know?
Yeah.
A little funny.
Well, this is what people do on the internet. People love to dogpile on the internet. It's the internet's greatest hobby is to take something out of context and just go bananas
like,
crazy
I gave it
on
4
it.
stars. Like, that's a great review. That is 80%. Like, that's 80%. Crazy.
No, that's really 4 stars is good.
What
did I give movie? 4 stars? Yeah, honestly, things are like a little bit. I feel like I've been living in this perpetual state of like hectic boring, where like everything is busy, but also everything's kind of boring.
That. Literally that. Like, you should patent that.
Yeah, patent that. I saw Carley. I saw you in a show last night where you played John Wilkes Booth.
Yeah, that was fun.
And then friend of the pod, Ben Sosa-Wright, played Ellen DeGeneres, and you guys had an election debate. That was a lot of fun.
That was I was happy. I didn't really want to go to that show. Nothing against the show. I was just like, I got sick and I've been so knocked on my ass since then. Like, I don't know what happened.
It's the season for it, baby girl.
It is the season for it. But when Reese came home, because he was on the show too, I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna do the show, and he was like, and this is actually, I'm sharing this with the pod because I think this level of mind games could be really helpful for some of our listeners. The producer of the show, he's like, the producer of the show already messaged everyone today and said, if you have to cancel by 2 p.m. So you can't.
Oh my God.
And I was like, oh my God. I can't. So I showed up with my big ass top hat.
That's a good point. You do have to cancel before 2 p.m., to be honest.
No, it's fair because I think it's a universal truth we all know, and to verbalize it, I think changes people.
Exactly. So I had a blast. I had 3 beers, went crazy.
I love that.
Which was huge.
That's massive for you. I love that. Yeah. Reese drank 2 beers on stage
Reese's bit was the funniest of the night. He did Jimmy Carter
Yes.
coming back from his like 100th birthday party, and he drank 2 beers on stage within 5 minutes, and it was so funny.
It was crazy. I think it's hard to sometimes make like a bit like that work because I think as a society we're kind of over like body horror kind of thing of just being like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna drink all this stuff and throw up. But to not throw up, just to be like, I'm gonna drink 2 beers in
Yeah.
the middle of this set, and everyone's like, oh my god, okay, this guy is gonna be sick. I love,
was
by the way,
really
that
funny.
on that clip you posted from Reese's episode, we've gotten like 5 comments being like, gay man lesbian relationship is everything.
I loved Reese is getting roasted.
I
but
know. I was like, do you want me to delete the clip? And he's like, I don't care.
I think it's with love and affection. I think it's what I
It
don't think anyone's
is.
being a hater.
It's just that, like, with love and respect, that's my son. Like,
Don't call Reese your son, Carly. That's crazy.
I know, but but you know what I mean? Like, I feel like, oh, 1 second. I'm still recording. Okay, good.
Awesome.
I feel such a protection over him.
Yeah.
Like,
Because
there's
he's
like
not gonna
7
protect
people in my
himself.
life that I actually like want to take care of. You're one. If somebody said
Reese-
something about you, I'd be like, shut the fuck up.
Actually, no.
You can't say that. And Reese is
Thank
one.
you.
And he's not like an online guy because he's a straight man.
Which
So,
is
like,
crazy.
Which isn't like so there's just like not content, you know?
Yeah. No, he's a hit. He's frankly a hit. So what are you gonna do?
The rumors are the rumors are in? No.
The rumors are true. He's a lesbian and you're a gay
the
man.
reviews are in.
The
That's
reviews
what
are
I
in.
mean.
The reviews
Oh
are
my
in.
God, I think I'm having a stroke. Love
Dude,
that.
me too.
We were talking about this before we started recording, but like the air pressure must be
It's
fucked
crazy.
today
No, there's
because I
something
feel
going on.
fucked up.
And also the cat's acting weird. And
Oh.
you know what I mean? Like whenever she's acting weird, I'm like the weather, something in the air, or the moon,
The
or
weather.
something. I haven't been keeping up with the stars as much as I usually do lately, so I feel a little bit lost in terms of like what's happening with
What's
the planets.
actually happening?
Yeah, where I'm like, okay, so like I gotta get an update on this soon because I just simply don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
But
No, for real.
what are you gonna do about it? Shall we get into Anne Boleyn? I fear.
And Boleyn.
I
Yes.
fear we should
let's
get into
do
Anne
it.
Boleyn. All right. Okay, so we're getting in on Anne Boleyn, who's probably the most infamous of Henry VIII's 6
For sure.
wives.
Gotta be.
Sorry, not sorry about what
On account
I
of getting
said.
beheaded.
Can I just say, I was listening to 6 this morning. They do a good job of just kind of like recapping.
Yes.
Recapping. I was like, I don't know why I'm even trying. I don't know why I'm even, because she's like, grew up in the French court. Oui, bonjour. Which she did. She did grow up in the French court.
Okay.
Yeah.
Life was a chore, so she set sail.
So she set sail. He wanted me, obviously. Yeah, so Anne Boleyn, probably the most infamous. She obviously loses her head. Do you have any thoughts or feelings on Anne Boleyn before we get into it? Or should I
Love.
love? You
Big
love?
fan.
Big fan. She's kind of brat, I fear.
I think that's very true.
Yeah.
She is Brat.
Yeah. She's brat.
She would have loved Brat, I think.
Rest in peace, Anne Boleyn. You would have loved Girl So
But Anne of
Confusing.
Cleves would have loved Sympathy is a Knife.
Oh, absolutely. I feel like Anne of Cleves also would have been into Anne Boleyn would have been like into brat, and like Anne of Cleves would be like bumping Kraftwerk, like just like German house, like, you know what I mean? Like
I
she'd
feel
be on
that.
some weird shit. They'd be like, "Do you want to listen to 360?" And she'd be like, "I'm listening to my German house remix, funk kind of thing." Like she's into some
Or
weird
she could
shit.
go the entire opposite way and just be like a Taylor Swift girl.
Yeah, she's listening to the Cardigan.
Great pull.
I wear my cardigan to the forest and I sit and I write poems. Cardigan by Taylor
Is that
Swift.
what you think? Is that what you think Cardigan is?
It's something like that, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's a little. She's not wearing the cardigan.
I'm
The
gonna
thing
wear
is
my
that
cardigan.
he makes her feel like an old cardigan under someone's bed because he
What?
found her and put her on and said she was his favorite.
That doesn't make any sense. Why would your favorite cardigan be under your bed?
No, because it was somebody else's not favorite discarded, and then he makes her his favorite.
So he's stealing a cardigan?
Yes. Yes.
What? Why is someone else's cardigan under my bed?
I don't know. You're asking too many questions.
Something's not adding up.
Something's rotten in the state of Denmark.
Something's rotten in the state of Denmark. I thought she was wearing a cardigan to go to the woods.
Well, she does wear a lot of cardigans in the imagery for that
I'm
era.
gonna braid my hair and sit in the woods and write a song.
Because the thing about that era is that she's actually trying to write songs about different people's experiences. So a lot of stuff isn't like as opposed to literally every other era, which is like
Hi.
It would be that. Like if she wrote Cardigan in Tortured Poets era, it would be I'm wearing my cardigan, I'm going to the forest to write poems.
But in cardigan era, she was like, you're the cardigan, I'm a pair of shoes.
Yes.
And you left them a party at my house and now they're my shoes.
Literally. Like that is the vibe.
Okay. Awesome. I love her. Anne Boleyn. So where we left off. Henry VIII is married to Catherine of Aragon for like 19 years at this point. He eventually stops
which is crazy.
It's crazy. They are married for so long. I looked it up. So basically he marries Catherine of Aragon in 1500 something. Okay. Married for 19 years. And then when he finally divorces her after 24 years of marriage, he then has five wives within 10 years. Averaging 2 years per wife.
And this is how men are.
This is how men be, dude.
They lose normal their damn as fuck minds. And then lose their minds.
Oh, and we're gonna talk about the real turn of Henry VIII. Okay. This is kind of gonna be a crazy episode because there's there's a couple of huge topics that are just gonna simply take longer to unpack. Okay. We're gonna have to go back and rehash some of this stuff. I feel like we're gonna do a conspiracy theory episode or something like that. Because
what happened?
Just because this shit is this is such a pivotal time in English history that's kind of encapsulated within this folie à deux with Anne Boleyn.
They're honestly Anne Boleyn and Henry VIII give me the vibes of they would be like, I'm Harley Quinn and you're my Joker.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think so.
That thing where it's she was fearless and crazier than him. She was his queen, and God forbid anybody disrespected his queen. You know that?
Okay, that's literally what happened, though. Okay. That's literally what happened. So, we're getting the end of Catherine of Aragon. He basically stops sleeping with her. Because she's getting older. She's also become super pious. She's also gotten uglier. For some reason getting pregnant a bunch, having a bunch of really traumatic miscarriages and also being kind of mistreated and shit on by your husband has made her not as hot as she once was, which is
she's also
really a huge bummer.
16?
No, she's 45 basically at this point. Or
society
40.
hates women.
Society
hates women aging. Yeah. It's crazy.
She's 40 to 45 during this whole thing, right? So she's at the end of her childbearing years. It's become pretty clear that Henry VIII and Catherine of Aragon are not gonna have a kid together. So it's rough.
Work.
Yeah, and it is kind of again, we're still kind of at the point where it's a bit understandable that he's sort of I need a male heir. We're not having kids anytime soon. It gets propositioned to him literally to take on a second wife because he's kind of sick of Catherine of Aragon. And he's obviously through their whole marriage, he's had different mistresses and stuff like that. He actually does have one son through a mistress. So he's talked about this in the last episode, but he's I feel like this wasn't me because I've had a son. Mistress. Yeah. Which slay. One of his
way to think.
Exactly. One of his mistresses is Mary Boleyn, who's actually Anne's older sister. So
love.
He's having an affair with her
because they're in the court, right?
Yeah. So basically, they're both ladies in waiting to Catherine of Aragon. Basically,
be your own people.
Exactly. When he sees Anne Boleyn, it's when she is part of the court. She is working for his current wife, which is crazy. So let's back up a little bit. Talk a little bit about who is Anne Boleyn, because she's got kind of an interesting different background that you don't necessarily find in nobility of this time. So she's born to a noble family, and her father is a talented diplomat. So he goes and, makes diplomatic with different countries, right?
Great.
So because of that, Margaret of Austria is really impressed with her father. And she's like, send your daughter Anne here to work for me, which is like kind of huge because they're noble, but they're not like super duper noble.
It's the equivalent of like a rich family sending their kid to like a really good private school where it's like,
Yeah.
we already are like privileged, but this is going to afford you upward mobility and like connections.
This is exactly. So she goes to Austria to serve at this house. She's under like super excellent tutelage. Like she's learning music, she's learning sewing, she's learning math, reading, writing, all this stuff, right? So then she ends up after that going to the French court. So she goes to France to serve under actually what is Henry's sister, Mary Tudor.
Sorry, where is she from again?
She is from England.
Oh, okay. Okay, great. Work.
So she was born either in 1501 or 1507. It's debated.
Crazy jump.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Like some of the debate over her age is based on this like letter she wrote her father and like whether or not it sounds like a kid wrote it. Like it's just not really.
No, we're not.
The evidence
dealing
is
with hard facts. Yeah.
Yeah, the evidence is shaky at absolute best.
Got it.
So, and she's born near or likely at Blicking Hill in Norfolk, England, right?
Okay.
So she's working in Austria, then she goes to the French court to serve under Mary Tudor, who's actually Henry VIII's sister. And then eventually she ends up serving under Queen Claude.
Okay.
So she stays in the French court for a long time, and this is where a lot of like her ideas come from. So something about Anne Boleyn is that she's pretty forward thinking for a woman of the time. She also
pan out really well.
Exactly. So it's like she's involving herself with ideas about like religious reformation. There's also we would need a whole other episode to go into it, but around this time there's this kind of like it's the Protestant Reformation, right? Where it's like it's for a long time the Bible has been something that is like in Latin that people have to be trained in biblical studies to read and engage with stuff like this. Like you basically have to be like a biblical scholar to even read it. And these translations of the Bible start coming out. This is when Martin Luther puts like the sign on the door of the church kind of thing.
I don't know that part.
It's basically just like
what does
he
put on the church?
That's a great question. What does Martin Luther put on the church?
Because I know the whole thing of like in the obviously a little bit of a different time, but in the Renaissance, like the printing press allowed for people who were outside of the church to even just be able to like get access.
Yeah, so Martin Luther nails his 95 thesis to the door of the Castle Church in Wittenberg on October 31st, 1517, and it basically challenges the Catholic Church's practices, and it marks the beginning of the Protestant Reformation. It's basically just like people start arguing over the church's authority.
But don't worry, like that will be dealt with so quickly.
Exactly.
We won't be dealing with that now at all.
Well, and a lot of it was that like sort of like why is faith based in how much you pay the church and not in like following faith alone? Like they had some points, right?
Points were made.
Points were made. Points were made. So she's engaging with this kind of stuff. There's a Bible that comes out that's kind of like passed around in basically secrecy that she gets a hold of. She's more forward thinking.
Anne is like in. Like she's like actively engaging in like different ideologies and shit.
100%. She's also learning like it's there's no like written confirmation of this.
It's just sad.
But
okay.
Well, there's confirmation that she had like forward thinking ideals. But when she was in France, it's very, very likely that she would have become friends with Marguerite de Navarre, was like a humanist and a patron of reformers and stuff like that. And it's very likely that she would have become friends with her.
Okay.
And Marguerite, basically, like a lot of her ideas would have technically been like heresy if she wasn't like in the king's favor by being her sister. So like it's very, very likely that Anne was exposed to pretty like forward thinking ideas.
Cool.
And you know what I mean? Like she's
No,
very
totally.
like
It's like the kind of ideas that like it's almost only really safe to have in that environment.
100%. So she's like supporting the Reformation. She's into art. She's into literature, all this stuff, blah, 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 blah,
Cool.
blah.
Question everything.
Question everything. Stay silent for nothing. So then she comes back to England eventually. She's there to marry her Irish cousin. And then her father kind of realizes that, like, that's actually not a good match. And people really like Anne Boleyn here. So, like, I feel like
we can get her,
we can get her a better match. And then she got secretly engaged to this guy named Henry Henry Percy.
Henry Percy.
And then his dad is like, no. And then at one point she befriends Sir Thomas Wyatt, who's one of the most prominent poets of that era. So
Hell yeah.
she's quite popular. Like everyone's kind of like looking at her, like saying like, hey, blah, blah, blah. And then she catches the
She's like Pete Davidson.
Yeah, she's kind of like Pete Davidson. Also because like it's very much recorded that like Mary Boleyn, her older sister, was like the beautiful one. Like she was very
okay,
like,
but Anne had the personality.
Exactly, because part of the reason that it's like rumored that Mary Boleyn got sent back from France is that she was having like she was just like a known mistress to like the king and all these royals, and they were like, we got to get you out of here before you like do something.
Get beheaded.
Yeah, exactly. And in France, they're a lot, I guess, hornier or whatever. Like. This whole idea.
True to this day.
Exactly. True to this day, the French are horny. So just this idea, like it's a more like flirtatious culture.
Yeah, so it's a little bit more accepted. Like you can get in a bunch of relationships and like get out.
Yeah,
before
100%,
you die.
Before you die. So it's kind of rumored whether something that comes up later is like whether or not Anne Boleyn had like other sexual experiences.
Good.
People seem to have different kind of viewpoints on this, where some people say like, oh no, it's just like that people talked about it, so she knew more than other women would have, but she didn't actually do anything.
Okay.
Or it could be that like, yeah, she was someone's mistress at some point kind of deal.
Okay.
It's again, how do you prove anything?
It's impossible.
So Mary Boleyn was the beautiful one, and she was, a known mistress. She was a mistress of Henry VIII's. And then Anne Boleyn, so she was like with Henry VIII and, bopping around with him. It's also rumored that like one or two of her children might have actually been his, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Bananas.
Bananas.
And then Anne Boleyn comes over and she's got this like humor.
Okay, love.
She's funny, she's feisty, she's young, she's like fresh, she's like hot off the French court, oui, bonjour.
Yeah.
And Henry's like, I really like her. And he's like, will you become my mistress? And she's like, no, I don't want to be your mistress. I want to be queen. Like she really plays her hand.
Cool. I love that. I'm kind of obsessed with her.
It would be cooler if it wasn't just leaving Catherine of Aragon in like the worst position ever.
Well, I mean, she does get... let's say it fully beheaded. So
she does get beheaded. So let's be so honest.
Her comeuppance is coming.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, Henry is now in a predicament because he's like, I really need a male heir. I don't really like my wife anymore. There's this really hot girl who I really would like to bone. They start writing letters to each other.
And Henry loves a letter. Henry loves to write.
100%. And he's also this whole time has been fixed on this Bible verse, because you have to remember that Catherine of Aragon was originally married to... She was very, very pious, but she was originally married to his older brother.
Right.
And when his older brother died, then he married her. So she was already a widow. And so Henry has been fixated on this Bible verse that says that men who marry their brother's widow, like, will not begot children. Like, they'll be... Like, it's incest.
Okay, God.
Yeah, like, it's technically categorized as incest. And so, like, God is like, But Catherine of Aragon holds true that she never consummated her marriage with King Arthur.
Okay. May he rest.
Or Prince Arthur. He never became king. Rest in peace. Rest in peace, Prince Arthur.
May you rest.
So this becomes something known as the King's Great Matter, where he... Which, awesome. Love to have something called Your Great Matter.
Blair's Great Matter?
Blair's Great Matter is the moths currently living in my house. So it becomes pretty clear that the Catholic Church is not going to agree to annul his marriage, because King Henry's basically going to the church and being like, this is my brother's widow. This is not a legitimate marriage. Like, this is wrong. Like, you should annul this. Like, it's not working out. Like, I've been cursed by God. Like, all this stuff.
Normal behavior.
Yeah. And Charles V, who's kind of his like enemy at the time, he's like the other kind of big king in Europe. He's like the king of
who's the king of what? Spain?
Yeah, he's the king of Spain, but he's also now the Holy Roman Empire. We're in the part of history where people are just kind of like saying
things. Yeah,
they're just kind of saying anything, you know. So Charles V has sacked Rome and is basically either like working with the Pope or holding the Pope as prisoner, depending on
to say no to this.
To say no to this. Yeah. So basically, the church is like, this is ridiculous. And also just like everything within the like religious law at the time would be on Catherine's side. Like, because
everyone likes her.
And everyone really likes her. And also, if you remember, they already had to get permission from the Pope to marry because she was
his brother's widow.
His brother's widow. So they already went to the church, said, hey, me and Arthur never boned. I'm still a virgin. Our marriage was never legitimate, kind of thing. And now they're going back to the Pope being like, just kidding.
I don't like it. We take it back.
And then, of course, the Pope and Charles V, who's enemy, Holy Roman Empire, emperor, whatever, are getting wind that, like, this might not be totally, like, religious, because we're getting wind that there's these, like, really horny letters that Henry VIII is sending this girl Anne Boleyn.
Okay.
Where there's one where it's like, oh, I wish to like see your pretty duckies soon and kiss your duckies, which was like old timey slang for boobs.
Hate that. Actually,
which is like
actually disgusting.
No, it's gross.
Actually disgusting.
It's nasty.
Don't call them that.
Yeah, your pretty duckies. It's like, whoa, it's gross. So it's rough. So he's working with this guy, Cardinal Wolsey, at the time. And he's his kind of like yes man. He's the guy who like
right. Okay. Yeah. Like he kind of like seeks him out a bit.
Yeah. He's the guy who initially was like, you can actually do whatever you want, King Henry VIII,
because you're the king.
Yeah. But then Henry's pissed because Cardinal Wolsey is like not succeeding in convincing the Pope, and so he like just fires Cardinal Wolsey, and Cardinal Wolsey has this like super sharp decline and dies like a year later.
He's in his flop era.
He flops super hard. He flops to death, some would say.
Oh, that's the worst kind of flop.
So I feel like I went over a lot of information. Is that all clear? Should I recap?
Yeah. So, you know, Anne Boleyn bops around, is the lady in the courts of a couple of different places.
Yes.
Comes to town, is funny, and is like, I don't want to be your mistress. I want to be the queen. I want to be your wife.
Yeah.
So Henry's like, I want an heir. It's not my fault. It's actually Catherine of Aragon's fault.
Yeah.
So then and people are already kind of like questioning the church. So he keeps going to the church being like, this marriage is not legitimate because the Bible says you can't marry your brother's widow. And the church is like, bro, you literally argued to marry your brother's widow.
Yeah.
We're not doing this.
He also goes to Catherine of Aragon and is like, why don't you just join a nunnery? Like, you're so pious. I really need an heir. I think you would love the piety that you can find at a convent. Like, I really just think that you're gonna love the other nuns. You're gonna do nun stuff. You're gonna eat like porridge. You'd have so much fun there. And she's like, no, I'm the one true queen of England. Like, you can't do that to me.
Yes, girl, stick to your guns.
This is the thing. So he's basically just like, you know, fucking Catherine over super hard this whole time. So Anne Boleyn is she totally resists King Henry's attempts to seduce her. She's like, no, I will not be mistress like my sister. She wants to be a queen. And there's no real evidence that they engaged in any type of intimacy until like right before they actually did get married. So she succeeds in just being like a little seductress.
Yeah, and that kind of thing that like it's not like a trad wife thing, but it's kind of like, what is that like kind of thing that's like new femininity or whatever that's like in the male
Yeah,
manosphere.
divine femininity.
Yes, divine femininity,
Yeah,
where it's
she's
like,
in touch with her divine feminine.
don't give it up for a low value man.
Oh yeah, well she's kind of a businesswoman in this. She's sort of
Yeah.
like, because you think she's kind of been climbing since she was a kid. Like her dad kind of got her this like way in the door because he was just like a good diplomat, and then she was just like, all these queens loved having her around, and she just kept ascending, and was
And
like,
being
hey.
a personality hire is a big skill. Like it is. When
No, she was the personality hire as a child,
which is crazy. And also like it's that, little woman speech of being like, this is the one business decision I can make. I've got such a sick personality that I can maybe marry the King of England.
Right?
By the way, my dad's a diplomat.
Mm-hmm. Just
which
by
is
the
not
way,
that big of a deal. Like in terms of
if you even
like,
care.
Catherine of Aragon was a princess in Spain.
Yeah. Exactly. So he's obsessed with Anne Boleyn, and he's like, okay, literally the church isn't going to do this for me. He is like, okay, well, I'm going to separate from the church, and I'm going to declare myself supreme head of the Church of England and basically make myself both ruler and pope in England. And now like all of England will refer to the pope as like Bishop of Rome or something. They're just like, we actually
checkmate, bitch.
They basically checkmated him. They were just like, we actually like, no, we're just not going to listen to you anymore. Like, we're just kind of done.
Yeah.
We're just kind of done. I kind of want to do whatever I want to do. And part of this is a little bit confusing, but I'm going to try to explain it for the girls.
Okay.
He closed the monasteries. This was a big part of it because people were already kind of like a big part of the Reformation and the viewpoint of like, the church being #problematic is that they were making a ton of money. So he basically closes these monasteries, and now all the funds that used to be going to the church were now going to the monarchy. So it's a little sus. And they take down these like statues of idols. They take down like all of this religious imagery basically throughout the country. And they were just like, actually, no, like, we no longer recognize the Pope kind of thing.
Sick. If you're going to be king, you got to do this shit.
Yeah, exactly. So the Act of Succession in 1553, Catherine's daughter Mary, who is the first daughter of Catherine of Aragon and Henry VIII, their one surviving child, she's declared illegitimate. So she's just like totally moved out of the line of succession, which is rough.
Bitch, what?
Yeah. He also, when he gets with Anne Boleyn, like keeps Catherine of Aragon and Mary apart, basically, like, and Mary doesn't really see her again until her mother's dead, and then just never sees her mother again. Like, it's bad. It's not good.
You can't do that.
Like, you understand why she became Bloody Mary. Like, she had a pretty traumatic childhood, right?
Yeah, it's like the Joker.
Exactly.
Monsters are made.
Monsters are made, not born. This is so the Joker coded.
Literally, everybody in this story is the Joker.
Everyone's the Joker. It's just a bunch of different Jokers.
Different Jokers, and that's what makes it. That's when things are really bad. Because if you just have one Joker, you can kind of like lock him up, whatever. But if it's just like 7 Jokers,
so basically, England has broken from the church. They have all these new acts that declare that Henry is in charge. There's also, after he dismisses Wolsey and leaves him to die, he gets this new guy
it's a wild way to state that, but go on.
He gets this new guy in named Thomas Cromwell, who helps make...
Okay.
Yeah. And
I know this name.
Exactly.
So he must be popping off. Okay, don't fly into my mouth, please. I don't want to hurt this bug, but I also don't want it in my open mouth.
Which is fair. It's cool to eat a bug, and I get that you're like not with it enough.
Yeah. I'm not.
So Thomas Cromwell ends up doing a lot of like the framework necessary for the English Reformation. He's vital in closing the monasteries and declaring, Henry VIII as supreme leader, basically.
Head of the Church of England, love.
This is the thing. So they like completely sever ties with the Catholic Church, basically.
This is
which
kind
is
of
huge.
metal. It is kind of metal.
It's
like you have to
kind of
admit.
crazy. It's kind of funny the way they were just like, you can't do that. Well, we're going to do it.
Well, I'm going to do it because I'm the king.
Exactly. So the Acts of Supremacy in 1534, Parliament recognizes the king's status as head of the Church of England, and together with the Act of Restraint and Appeals in 1532, abolished the right of appeal to Rome. And then Pope Clement took the step of excommunicating the king, and the excommunication wasn't made official until sometime later. But basically, the Pope was like, fine, okay, whatever. Like, we don't recognize you either. And they were just like, okay, Church of England is its own thing. So now Henry can do whatever he wants.
And this will go great.
Well, this is
I
the
think
thing
this is going to go over awesome.
And Catherine of Aragon's making appeals to go to Rome and be like, I want to be seen by the Pope, and I want them to say that this is not cool. And Henry basically knows that, like, if they go to Rome, the Pope is going to side with Catherine. And so he's just like, we just gotta go our own way. What about
us? That's the Pope. What about everything we've been through?
Well, what about trust? No,
Quick Vanessa Hudgens tangent. My favorite photo on the internet is that photo of Vanessa Hudgens as an adult woman meeting Kaya Gerber as a child.
I'm losing
It's my
mind.
favorite image. Like, life
crazy.
is so funny. It is so funny.
It's insane.
It's like, and I think Austin Butler should be forced to look at that. Because I do think sometimes we blow age gaps a little bit out of proportion. I think if everyone's an adult, who cares?
Yeah.
But she was quite young. Like, and it's just that pathological thing of being like, I love my girlfriend until I'm really famous actor. Then I am dumping her for an 18-year-old.
Then I do not love my girlfriend anymore.
I'm too famous to love my girlfriend.
I'm too famous to love my girlfriend. Stupid. So basically, now King Henry has everything he wants. Catherine is like away in a castle somewhere. He's like, shut up. I don't like you. Whatever. Like, he basically
I'm obsessed with that.
Like, he's basically just like over it. He doesn't want to talk to her. He doesn't want to. And he's also kind of like, so from his perspective, I think this is me making an estimated guess.
And I love that because this happened 500 years ago. And speak on how he actually felt.
And speak on how he actually felt. But I feel like in his mind, he was like a little bit like, I don't know why you're not getting this. Like, you haven't borne me a son. I'm in a rough position. I literally need an heir. I've offered you to go be a nun. You said no. I offered you to just kind of like dip and make this easy for me. You said no. I asked you to say that you boned my brother so that the Pope would be okay with it. You said no. And so now I have to go through all this, blah, 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 blah. And so, and she's just like,
that's
no.
tough.
Which I'm like, it's not right, but like I do, like you can kind of understand where he's coming from a little bit, where it's like.
It's really hard because you're like, if we're talking about this now, it's like, you have to hold in tension the fact that being a woman in the past means basically just trying to avoid getting murdered.
Yes.
But also she's the queen. You know what I mean? So like we receive that information and know what he does to so many women, where I'm like, the second he's like, go to a nunnery, I'm like, I'm actually going to go. Oh, we're all the lesbians of the past are?
Yeah.
We're all the lesbians of the past
where the old-timey lesbians are?
I'll be there.
I'm going to go hang out there.
But like we aren't you know what I mean? Like that's like somebody 500 years from now talking about historical events being like, just obviously do that now. And we're like, well, we don't know that. We don't have that context.
So he's a little bit like, well, what the hell? So he's just like, has no interest in Catherine. Also, like, Anne is not, by all accounts, very nice to Catherine at all. She's sort of like, you got to dip. I want to be queen. Get out of here. Like, I'm playing my cards and you are like.
Don't want to be some girl in a threesome. Are you blind?
This is the thing. I don't want to be some girl in a threesome. Are you blind?
I do think also a little kind of like color that I always think with stories like this, especially with monarchy, is like, and if you believe in like God or spirituality, like nothing but love to you, I think if you find solace in that, girl, do it. But like these people believe that like their exorbitant amount of wealth and power is like their spiritual destiny.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you're the Queen of England, you're going to be like, no, bitch. Like, no, I'm sorry, because I was like literally handpicked by God. Like,
yeah, literally God picked me, and it's kind of weird. And I get it. Like, Catherine went through the ringer to basically just be shoved aside in the last, for whatever. As soon as she could no longer bear a child, it was like, get out of here, bitch. Like,
yeah, and even then it's like, you guys were together for so fucking long, dude.
This is the thing. And also, like, he's screwing over her daughter. Like, Mary's just, like, consistently ill because he's just ostracized her, too. They can't see each other. Like, it's crazy.
Mary's like, y'all mind if I become bloody for a minute?
This is the thing. So, Anne Boleyn has succeeded in separating England from the church. Like, this is her whole thing. She's, like...
Love that.
And she's kind of an icon of the Reformation in that way, but, like, it's
not going to end well for her.
No, it's not going to end well for her at all. So they eventually get married in secret. Henry's 41 and Anne was in her, I guess, late 20s or early 30s. You
gotta hope.
Again, there's a 6-year gap between the 2 years she might have been born. So she's younger. She's younger, no matter what. Um,
And like there's a power imbalance because one of these people is the king of England.
Exactly. So it's got to be rough. So it's declared that the marriage of Henry and Catherine is null and void. It does not count. And
He
they
invented divorce.
He invented divorce. So he is like, yeah, actually, that one doesn't work. And they say that the marriage of Anne and Henry is good and true and valid. So blah, 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 blah. She basically is a little bit pregnant before they get married. Because as soon as it's like, yeah, it's debated, but like she's a little bit pregnant. And she's pregnant. She's like visibly pregnant at her coronation.
Awesome. That's good.
Yeah, exactly. And then she gives birth to Henry's second daughter, her first daughter, Elizabeth, in 1533. And then by 1536, she had suffered a bunch of miscarriages, which is rough.
Tough.
And now we're coming to a really pivotal moment, which I'll also flag. She's just given birth to Elizabeth, Queen Elizabeth I of England, of iconic Shakespeare.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So she is mommy to Elizabeth I.
I love that.
She's mommy. So this whole thing is pretty ironic because like Henry literally beheaded her for not giving him a son. And then
her child becomes heir.
Yeah. Her child becomes the literal most iconic monarch in all of English history, I would argue, which is crazy.
Yeah, I'd argue that too.
And it's her daughter. So we'll get into that.
So, okay. Somebody else do the lines, like the family lines, but are the Windsors related to Anne Boleyn?
That's a great question.
I can Google that right now. Somebody's already done that.
I don't think that it's going to be like a direct line because the House of Tudor ends with Elizabeth I. But there's all the royals are like interchanged.
They're not directly
ways.
descent from the Tudors.
I think that Princess Diana might be of the same line of Anne Boleyn. But yeah, the Tudors, like Henry VIII has no direct descendants, but they might have descendants through like different lines that interchange. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because every, like a king and queen is like brother and sister.
Exactly. Okay, here we go. Are you ready?
Here we go.
Are you ready for the moment of crazy? You ready for the moment of crazy?
Yeah.
So here's how it all goes down. Are you ready for this, Carley?
Sure.
On 8th of January, 1536, Anne Boleyn and Henry VIII learn of the death of Catherine of Aragon.
Oh.
Here's a couple of little things. Which, first of all, after that, they're seen, instead of wearing black, they show up wearing yellow. And it's debated whether or not they're wearing like happy colors because she's finally dead, which means that like, oh, like no one can say anything about our marriage, but also like the traditional mourning colors of Spain at the time were yellow. So it's kind of debated whether or not they were being nice or really fucking mean.
You gotta hope it's nice, right?
Yeah, exactly. So Anne has like, the marriage is kind of like contentious at points because he's just kind of missing how like submissive Catherine was. And again, you have to remember that Anne is like, she's with it. She's feisty. She's got a mouth. She's got a mouth on that girl. She got a mouth on that girl. And so he's kind of like a little bit like, you're being arrogant. You're being annoying. Like the people don't really like her either. Like she's not super popular. She's not very popular in court. She's just like her general favor is not great. And on top of that, she still has not had a son. So Catherine of Aragon dies and Queen Anne Boleyn is pregnant again. But later that year, like a few months later, or maybe even that same month. Again, timeline's not my strong point in this. But
that's
King
okay.
Henry falls from his horse. He's thrown from his horse and he gets really badly injured. And
that horse made some points.
The horse made some points. He gets a leg injury that proceeds to plague him for the rest of his life. So this is kind of a big turning point for Henry VIII because now his leg is injured. This is an injury he's going to be dealing with for the rest of his life. And because of this, it takes a real hit. Like he's always been really athletic. He's also eating just like easily like 6,000 calories a day. because he's moving around and he's also a king. So it's not like I'm having breakfast. It's like I'm gonna eat an entire pig. Like I'm gonna sit here and eat.
I'll have a
like,
ham for breakfast.
I'm just gonna have a ham and a loaf of bread for breakfast. Maybe for lunch I'll have a
right.
stew
It's like how
made
people say
with,
that like working out, it gives you endorphins.
Yeah, for him.
And happy people just don't kill. That's like
happy
blind
people
from
just
Legally
don't kill
Blonde.
their husbands.
Literally, happy people don't just behead their wives.
Exactly. So
he can't work out anymore.
He can't work out anymore, so he starts gaining tons of weight. It's also theorized because this also marks a turning point where he goes from kind of being, he's being kind of shitty, but just in the way that kind of like old-timey monarchs are shitty. It marks a turning point into him just being nuts. Like, he starts killing his wives. Like,
yeah.
so it's
He goes from being kind of like, lol, I'm the king, to being like, no, I'm actually
being like, I'm going to kill you.
I'm evil.
Yeah, like I'm evil. So like people, like modern historians have theorized that he actually got like a really, really bad concussion that actually like changed his personality.
Ooh,
like he had like actual brain damage from this fall. Which makes sense because it's like it's a shift in it's a marked shift in personality. Combine that with the fact that like his whole lifestyle's changed. He's now sedentary, he's gaining weight. Like he had armor made. I don't even think this was his like biggest, but like he had like his waist was 52 inches at one point when they made armor for him, and that was him like before he even got like to his largest size. And you also have to remember he's like 6'4". Like he's huge.
Yeah.
So he's roughing in
the past, dude.
In the past. He's 6'4" in the past. And the shock and stress of all this causes Anne Boleyn to miscarry.
Yeah, fair.
Which is a bummer.
Very sad.
And this is like a huge personal loss, and it kind of marks the beginning of the end of their marriage. So Henry starts to grow tired of Anne, and he's like waiting for a son. He's kind of sick of this. So he starts looking for another mistress. And Thomas Cromwell starts plotting Anne's demise, basically.
Cool.
And so Henry VIII starts seeing another one of the ladies at court whose name is Jane Seymour.
Ooh.
They're very romantic. And Thomas Cromwell basically starts finding charges to levy at Anne Boleyn. So they capture this Flemish musician named Mark Smeaton, and they arrest him.
A
Flemish musician named Mark Smeaton, and they torture him until he says that, like, oh yeah, me and Anne slept together, kind of thing. And they were like, okay, great, that's one. And then they also accused her of engaging in sexual relations with her brother and other men. They find those other men that she was like engaged to, and they're like, actually, you were with these guys. There's like 5 different guys she was accused of getting with. She's also just accused of kind of like general heresy, et cetera, et cetera. And they are put to death outside of her. So she's arrested. She's taken to the Tower of London. And these 5 men, including her brother, are put to death outside of her window so she can see them get beheaded, which is horrible.
You can't just be... It's not fair to them.
Yeah, exactly. So her charges...
tortured this Flemish musician to confess.
Exactly. So, and he also like accuses her of like bewitching him into marrying her because of like her French flirting. There's also like some people say that like she was actually like too like her sexual knowledge like kind of freaked Henry out, and he was like, witch.
Yeah, she's like, what if I get on top?
Yeah, and he was like,
sounds like something a witch would say.
Something a witch would say. So yeah, he's like, I want to get rid of that. Like he basically just gets annoyed with her, and like she's not submissive enough,
and he's concussed to hell.
Exactly. And so he's like, I want her dead. And so they levy these charges about her. The charges are adultery, incest, and high treason. And Henry has his marriage to her annulled 2 days before she is beheaded. And she's beheaded on the 19th of May, day before my birthday, of 1536, which is
day before your birthday.
Day before my birthday. And she's supposed to be the punishment for the crime or whatever is being burned at the stake. And as a last gesture of mercy, King Henry gets an expert swordsman from France to come over and behead her in one fell swoop.
Well, that's nice.
Exactly. It's and that's
horrible.
Anne Boleyn in a nutshell. Like I said, there's so much more to go into if you want to, but I feel like, oh my God, where do you even start? There's also like this poor girl, when she gets arrested, she goes like she's hanging out in the Tower of London, just fluctuating between like absolute hysteria and total stoicism of just like accepting her fate. She writes a poem um
Yes.
in the Tower of London being like, death rock me to sleep. It's very sad.
Oh,
She dies either at 29 or 35 years old, which either one
that's
too
so
young.
sad.
It's really too sad. But the crazy thing about Anne Boleyn, which I'll say before, and then the next one is Jane Seymour, who's also interesting because he's already with Jane Seymour. They're basically already planning to get married. They get married like a day after Anne Boleyn is beheaded, which is crazy. We'll get into that more in
Yeah,
the
next
in the
up.
Jane Seymour episode. But the crazy thing is that like he did all this to kind of like stop Anne Boleyn from doing all this stuff. And then her daughter was Elizabeth I. And she
Yeah, like
became
she's the queen. Like that's the
she
heir.
is the queen. She is the queen. And it's said that like one of the reasons that she didn't have any children is because of how messy her dad was with his 6 wives, which is crazy. So
Unfair. Like that would fuck a kid up.
yeah.
Also crazy for Mary then. Like Mary's like literally like if we're, you know, making women the Queen of England. Like
Oh.
she's literally the firstborn.
Well, she was Queen of
woman.
England. Don't worry. Henry had all 3 of Henry's living children. Henry had 3 surviving children, and they all sat the throne. And Elizabeth was the 3rd
Love
of
that.
his children to sit the throne. So
I didn't know
worry.
she sat the throne. I
She-
didn't know that.
Oh, Mary? Bloody Mary? Yeah, girl. She killed tons of people.
Is she's Queen of Scots?
No, it's different Mary.
Okay.
This is Bloody Mary.
Sorry, I don't know a lot of
I
English
know,
history.
I
I'm learning a
know.
lot.
And then everyone has the same damn name.
The same damn name.
Everyone has the same damn name. So it's pretty upsetting.
Yeah,
Again.
it's not okay. My favorite Anne Boleyn fact, and again, you know, if you want to read about this, read more about this, and make sure it's real. But I remember learning this because Anne Boleyn in 6 is green, and that's based off of a poem that Henry wrote for Anne Greensleeves.
Yes.
But she didn't wear green; she actually wore red a lot. And
That's
it's just because a woman who would wear green, like green was a very like, you know, showy off color.
Mhm.
So to call a woman, like if you're like, Blair, you are so green sleeves vibes, would be like you dress very gaudy and you're like sexy and like a
Yeah.
very showy off person. I thought that was interesting.
You're so green sleeves coated.
You're so green
You're
sleeves
so
coated right now.
green sleeves coated right now. Yeah, so it's pretty crazy. It's nuts to think that like this woman was so seductive and so good at playing her cards right that she's separated England from the Catholic Church.
It is
Nuts.
awesome. Like I
Yeah.
do think it is cool. It sucks that Catherine of Aragon had to like take the heat from that.
Oh yeah.
And also it's sad that all of this is basically just because of like being a wife to or a woman in the orbit of like male monarchs is just basically taking the hit for like male mental health issues. Like that's
Oh.
all
It's awful.
crazy, man.
It's a nightmare. So it's pretty crazy to think about. Also, like, don't forget through this whole time, like, he's fucking over Catherine. He's fucking over Mary. And Elizabeth, he's said to really like, but he kills her mother. Like, it's horrible.
Yeah.
Like, it's really just like so many women are caught in the collateral of this. It's not even funny on top of
And
that.
we're just getting started.
We're just getting started. Like, I thought we were going to do like one episode per wife. Now I'm like, I don't even know where to start and begin.
Yeah.
So, do you have any questions
so
also?
much.
Because I feel like I went through so much information.
No, I got all that. What did Catherine of Aragon die from? Do we know?
So, this is a fun fact actually. So, this is something I was going to include it, but it was just, honestly, at this point, it was like so much information. I was like,
Yeah, fair.
so Anne was pretty disliked. People didn't really like her. And she was also accused of being like a poisoner. Like she was really...
Love that.
Yeah. So she was caught in this scandal where she was trying to poison this like other guy who I forget. It doesn't really matter who he is, but basically she was caught in this like poisoning scandal. And it's like unsure whether or not it was her or her family or something like that. But then another time, the same guy, she was like, gave him a warning and was like, hey, don't go to this dinner. You'll get sick again. And so people were like, oh, is she admitting that like she's like she knows about them trying to get poisoned?
Yeah.
And so when Catherine of Aragon died, she had this big black spot on her heart. And people at the time were like, oh, it's poison that's consistent with poisoning kind of thing. But now modern medicine would say that she died of heart cancer.
Jesus, man.
Yeah, like a really rare form of heart cancer that they wouldn't have been able to identify back then. But like at the time,
it's 15. It's year 1500.
Yeah, exactly. Like it did not help her reputation that it kind of, Catherine of Aragon was kind of giving poisoned. So kind of crazy there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Happy I asked.
People didn't like her. I feel like we're gonna have to do like a fun facts episode.
That's a good idea. Like we have the messiest moments of the Beatles, some kind of thing of like
yes, messiest moments
of the Tudors.
Of the Tudors. So it's pretty nuts.
I love that.
Okay. Well, what do you think? What's the vibe?
Should we do our moment?
I think we should do our moment.
Okay, ready?
Yes. Let's
make this tragedy about us.
A part of the show where we say, sorry about all those women that died. How about we talk about ourselves a little bit more?
Little bit more.
Yeah. Okay, here's a fun one. Here's a fun one.
Okay, give it to me.
If you were to get beheaded, or not beheaded, but like if you were to like
get
executed, how would you like to get executed?
Great question.
Mm-hmm.
Really great question.
Thank you.
I would like it to be fast. I do think a behead is pretty quick.
Yes, that is very
There's
quick.
drama there. I don't want to be burned.
No, not burned.
If I can avoid it, that's not good. I also don't want the electric chair.
No.
Also, I was reading because, by the way, the electric chair is still used in certain southern states.
Which is crazy.
Horrifying. Already death penalty, nuts.
Yeah.
To use the electric chair, like, what are we doing?
Did I ever tell you about the time I was at work at the college pub I worked at, the Queen's Pub at Queen's University, and I was behind the bar, and I was talking to my friend who was a bartender, and we were like literally at work in uniform, and we were talking about politics, and he said something like, oh, well, you know, like I mostly have like pretty like liberal like NDP views, but I do have some conservative values. And I was like, oh, like what? And thinking he would say the economy. And he said, well, I believe in the death penalty. I'm mostly socialist, but I believe we should kill people for crimes in front of customers. And then turned around and was like, what beer do you want?
What can I get you? I was like, would you like some jalapeno poppers?
Literally, I was like, okay, I guess I'll go do my job now.
Yeah. Like,
one of the craziest moments of my life.
That's insane. I always am so surprised when people believe in the death penalty.
It's shocking.
It's really shocking to me. I always say I don't believe in the death penalty at all. I get the death penalty with literally Ted Bundy, and that's it. Like, if there's somebody out there who's like, I'm gonna escape from jail again, and I will be killing. I'm like, I don't know what the answer is there. But
yeah, what are you gonna
That's
do?
a joke. I don't really agree.
No,
but I was reading about all these cases of people like they don't know how to do it really good. Like they don't know how to like actually kill people with the death penalty a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So those people go back to court and they're like, they punished me, they killed me because they're alive. Like they don't die, and they're like, can I leave now? Like
that's crazy.
You can't kill me again just because I didn't sign up to get killed twice.
Yeah, like you tried and failed. That's it. Like
you get one shot.
Yeah, you get one shot, one opportunity. You better lose yourself.
I would hate to be killed execution style, shot in the back of the head. I would like to know when it's coming is kind of the thing. And I feel like being slain with a big sheath like Anne Boleyn is good.
Mm-hmm.
It's not good. But like if I have to choose.
Well, it's like how when they invented the guillotine, it was supposed to be like humane. Like it was a humane way of execution.
Yeah. But I feel like lethal injection, right?
Yeah, you want lethal injection?
Well, don't you just go to bed? I don't know a lot about lethal injection.
Yeah, I don't know.
If it's the kind of thing if you're just like, ooh, I'm tired. What do they do when they do medical, like, assisted suicide? That's what I want.
Yeah.
I want to be executed by I get to OD on morphine.
True. Yeah.
What about you?
I don't want to be executed.
Well, That's the base of the question. I don't want to be executed either.
Okay, point, and points are made.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think beheading.
It is. I don't want to be beheaded,
No, I don't want to be beheaded either. I want to keep my
but
head.
it seems quick as all of the really violent forms. It seems quick.
Yeah, like
Like cut my head off. I'm not gonna live without
yeah.
my head. You know what I mean? Like it's not like I'm gonna be like if you shoot yourself in those horrific stories, people who like shoot themselves in the head
Oh,
and they don't
horrible.
die.
Nightmare.
I'm not gonna
scenario.
have sentient thoughts with my head off of my body.
Yeah, like no thanks.
No.
Thanks, no thanks.
And on that awesome note,
That epic note. Thank you for listening, guys.
thanks for listening, guys.
As always, you can check out our Patreon where we are uploading episodes
Yes.
early and little bonus eps and etc. etc.
Yeah. But the best thing you can do to support us is listen. So if you're listening, thank you. And we love you, and we'll talk to you soon.
We
Bye.
love you. Bye.
This podcast has been brought to you by the Sonar Network.